In today's episode of the Pathfinder Presents podcast, I have an interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Brittany Ray, and she's hailing over from the team at MPOWR Envision. And the folks work on something very interesting. And it's basically, bringing strategic thinking and strategy execution into a software, and bringing making sure that a strategy set out is being executed accordingly. So we really want to jump into what MPOWR is all about, right? And also how Brittany is thinking about growth for the company. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Lucas. Excited to be here.
Sure. So give us, a 360 overview. What is MPOWR Envision all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So MPOWR Envision is a strategy execution software, and it's a category that's still new in the market. So there's a lot of organizations that still have not heard that this software exists. But basically what we do is we take a complicated strategy that sits in a static document, like an Excel spreadsheet, or even on a shelf somewhere, and then we make it accessible and actionable.
Very cool. I mean, it's interesting, right? Because everybody kind of has strategies, so it's an interesting new category to bring to the market. Like, what type of companies would you say typically benefit the most? Like, what is it? There a certain size, certain industries? What would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. We're definitely more of a horizontal market. Organizations that still use those static documents would benefit most from this. And any team that really is looking to align their teams and break down the siloed departments. So departments that maybe aren't collaborating or talking with each other. And we really like to call that a culture of execution, where everyone in the organization feels that their role is contributing to the overall strategy, and they can see how their work contributes to that strategy.
I see. And what would you say within those organizations? What's typically a role that is, bringing in? Who's a champion typically? Is that, is that a CEO? Is that a head of operations? Is that, a VP on any of the different, departments? Who's bringing in MPOWR typically?
Yeah, great question. Definitely anybody in the leadership team is a champion, but we've also seen champions from other executive leaders or admins, things like that. So it's really diversified across the board, and that's what makes my job so much fun on a daily basis. Is it's constantly changing. People are still finding out about that this software exists.
Very cool. And what would you say? How do they learn about you guys? Like, what's the journey of somebody who is, getting to know MPOWR Envision to then, finally getting started? Like, what would be sort of, in other words, the top client acquisition channels you guys leverage?
Yeah, so we have definitely a diversified source of lead channels, definitely referrals from customers. That one's a big one for us, but we also have a pretty extensive partner program where we work with strategy consultants, and then they recommend their clients to us and they use it for their clients as well. Also, review sites are really big for us. We get a lot of great reviews and we're really proud of that. And we're very fortunate that our customers have great success stories. So review sites help us as well. And then also traditional digital channels, SEO, advertising, things like that.
You mentioned the website there, and obviously the digital journey that they're going through. How do you think about the website? As a marketing manager for the digital space, like, what role does the website play for MPOWR Envision, you would say?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think any marketer would really say it's like the front door for everything that you have. So content, gated content, that awareness piece. Being a new market, we really have to educate our customers too. So that's really where we have everything through the buyer journey. So it's extremely important.
And the marketers, like you said, every marketer kind of sees it as the front door. What also happens with every marketer that we have on the show is there's always some, in a way, like inherent criticism that they have with their own website. They always want to improve it one way or the other. Like, what would you say is sort of like a major strength of the website versus where do you say there is room for improvement?
That's a great question. Our strength is that we have a really extensive blog section. We have so many different articles for different industries, different professions, different strategy methods that people use. And I would say any marketer also faces that personalization aspect too. I was just reading a Gartner statistic that customers, prospects, they're expecting that personalization. And if you don't have that, then you're not going to be chosen as a software of choice, especially having so many diversified titles that we're targeting and that we're working with. That personalization over time can definitely get hard to manage, but there's technology out there too that can help with that.
Cool. Now you've been in interesting marketing roles. You now, but you've been in interesting marketing roles prior. Throughout your career and your journey in marketing, what have you learned and figured out? Like, what are great ways to, make sure to get more value from the website traffic that is there? Any like tools, approaches, methods you've come across in order to figure out to get the most of the page?
Yeah, I think it's really looking at the data within your own organization and seeing where customers or prospects ending up within your journey, and then building the content based on your own data, because I'm sure you can read a million articles that say, hey, you need to do X, Y, and Z, but unless you have the data to back up where you need to go, that data and that information isn't going to be relevant for everybody.
Yeah, no, that makes a whole lot of sense. Any tools that you prefer? Like, we always love to share, like the tools marketers using. Any tools that you prefer to get to those insights?
Yeah, GA4. It's cost effective. I like to say that I'm marketing automation agnostic. I'm okay working in any automation platform, and they all have their own pros and cons at the end of the day. But again, there's always new technology too. So I'm always open to learning, and I'm always diving into new technology.
If we're switching gears a little bit and talk about marketing, you mentioned that you could read a lot of case studies, a lot of blog posts about new strategies and ideas. How do you filter from all of this? Where do you like to read? Where do you you mentioned your own data, obviously, but beyond that, like, where do you like to read? Is there any like communities, blogs, or something that you really find there's valuable content for your work as a marketer?
For my work, yes, there are so many groups just for strategy, which is really great. And then I also personally belong to a lot of female marketing groups, which is really great. I tend to find those fairly insightful. All the marketers in there are very honest, really willing to help each other. And as a female leader myself, I love learning from other women who have really great insights.
Very cool. As we slowly approaching the end of the interview, I have some rapid fire questions. Are you ready for those?
Okay, yes, let's do it.
Okay, so what's the last book you read?
Oh, that's a great question.
Or the last podcast you listened to, whatever you feel.
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say the last book I read, I believe was The Silent Killer. So it's not marketing related at all, but it was more of a suspense, true crime. Our own marketing team personally loves, a good true crime, anything.
It's so funny because like there is so many marketers on the show say that. It seems to be there's something with marketing and true crime. We had actually in the last episode, there was actually somebody as well listening a lot to and reading on true crime. So seems to be a running theme between marketers. What's one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
Ooh, another great question. I would say going back to just our core values. So the great thing about our software is that we're able to see the organizational strategy, but then also like our mission, vision, and values. And our number one core value is customer obsessed. So with that customer obsessed value, we're always looking at ways to better our customer journey, better our current customers. And when our customers grow, we grow. So I would say, keep looking at our customers and finding out how we can help them grow. So that helps us.
If there would be no boundaries in tech, what's the one thing you would fix for your role today?
Oh, there's one thing I could fix. A magic wand. I wish I could have a magic wand or clone myself. If I could have 5 of me, I think I could probably take over the world.
I think it's actually probably one of the best answers. It's like not you want one specific thing, you just take the magic wand and again you fix it. So that's pretty smart. What's the last thing that kept you awake at night about the company?
One thing that keeps me awake at night. I would say I sleep pretty soundly, but just one thing that excites me, that makes me really excited, and I think about it at night sometimes, is just like how fast our company is growing and how strategy execution software as a market has grown. And we really didn't launch until the beginning of the pandemic. So for me, that was like, like a little scary, right? Like having a new brand launching in a pandemic, but we've actually grown through the pandemic and to now. So I think just seeing our growth makes me really excited and gets me excited for the market as a whole.
Very cool. For the very last question, right, I would like to do a little bit of time travel, right? Let's go back to, let's say, the days of Benedictine University, right? So you're heading out of formal education, you're getting into continuing actually your journey then in marketing at that point. What's the one advice you would give yourself for your journey heading out of formal education into marketing?
I would say, trust yourself, everything's going to be okay. Just like I mentioned with, launching a brand in a pandemic, and the world kind of stopped, and that was scary, and we didn't really know what was happening. There was a lot of uncertainty. So trust yourself, everything's going to be okay, and just A/B test as much as you possibly can.
I like how you just like put that at the end, and or trust yourself and do a lot of A/B testing.
Yeah.
It's cool. Brittany, I really appreciate you took the time with us today to be a guest on Platform Presents. I want to give you the very last word. If somebody would be forgetting all that we discussed about MPOWR and Envision, what's the one thing they should remember?
That's a really great question. I feel like there's so much that strategy software can do, but if I had to pick one thing, I would say that MPOWR and Envision can help you execute your strategy in only 30 minutes per week.
That was short and crisp. Brittany, thanks a lot for being a guest on Platform Presents.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.